So there we are, and wonderful Baz. I mean, he could make a fortune with what he does there. It says it all. I love it. And so there we are. There are my three. There's my latest. That's my latest set of photographs when I was filmed by Tony Danbury, who's been my mentor as well all my life. And at the end of that set of photographs, I was being airlifted to Queens with a broken ankle. And what is lovely, I think, really, because when I land, I always say to everybody, don't rush after me if I don't stand up straight away. I do like to take my time to get up. So this time, I had a perfectly good landing on my feet, completely good, didn't overbalance at all. I heard a click. I thought I'd better sit down. And of course, because everyone knows that I take my time, they were quite slow coming. And then here I am, I'm walking again. And to David's horror, I'll be wanting to come back to him with my certificate soon. That's my second passion, and that is the touch trust, which interfered, unfortunately, with my skydiving, because I was busy skydiving here and in America, not very good, but loving it. And they're so intertwined with the charity, because we started a charity. Now, the charity actually is for young people and older people who are so disabled that they cannot access the good things of society, sometimes because of us, because we haven't got the skills that we should have, and sometimes because there is a difficulty. And I was working with them, and we were having a lot of fun, because as skydivers, there's one thing you learn is to have fun. So that's one thing I was passing over. We were singing, we were clapping, we were playing Elvis Presley, but we were finding a way to connect, which was, I suppose, my skill as a teacher. And starting a charity is very difficult. It's as difficult as starting a drop zone, it's as difficulty as becoming a skydiver. It's full of pitfalls. And I would never, ever have achieved making this a really national charity, which has got a $250,000 turnover and is really successful, if I hadn't skydived. Skydiving gave me the courage. When I started skydiving, which I'll talk to you in a minute, because I was only 54. But that was old to start skydiving. And I couldn't have been more nervous. I'll just move it on a little bit, because that's our youngsters, that's my son, and as you can see, we're all having a great time. I do believe that life is for living, and that you hold on through any bad times and push through to get to the next good times. You never give up, and you never accept. And so these young people who were actually outcasts in society, because of our ignorance and because of our lack of skills, we have found a program which actually brings them into partnership, into life, where they are equal to us, different. And don't we really know that we need to celebrate diversity? I mean, I think all of you are probably a bit oddball, you know? You don't fit in quite, and yet you found a place to fit in here. We need it. That's what we need. And what I'm really going to talk about is the wonder of skydiving. I think you are people who are bold, you're courageous, and you're kind. Now, wonderful. You accept people. You accepted me. I mean, at 54, I went down to Swansea. That's how I started. And it was because my students were going to do a skydive for charity, and I had to do it with them. So I'll come back to that a bit later. And in fact, I'd been skydiving one weekend in Langer. I'd had a wonderful time. I don't know that some of the others might have had a wonderful time. They tell me stories about how I nearly knocked into them, or I fell off the wingtail, or I didn't do something, but I'd had a wonderful time. And I knew that because I was a teacher and a skilled teacher, that I had a program that was making very, very disabled youngsters come to a place of a better playing field that was more equal. And I thought, I'm lazy, I'm loving skydiving, but I've got to stir myself, and I stayed up till midnight and put out a project form to try and get others interested. I thought I won't go to bed until I really make a sponsor form and influence to get this going. And because I'd had a good time, and there were a whole lot of people who, because of accident of birth or accident of life, perhaps a car accident, were in a situation where they couldn't have the joy that I had. And if my friends couldn't skydive, I must make this program work for them. So skydiving started it. Isn't it wonderful? You see how important you are as skydivers. I think you are needed to change the world. You've changed me, and you are the salt of the earth. And, you know, I work a lot in charities, I work a lot in education, we even go to sort of different religious places, etc. Where do I find the warmth? Actually, the holiness is in skydiving. Now then, I feel I was a better skydiver then. I have deteriorated. So this was in Zephyr Hills. Now, Zephyr Hills was wonderful. I'd go there, I'd buy a tent on the first day from Walmart, I'd buy a whole lot of peanuts and a whole lot of bananas, I'd put it up, and I'd be there for 3 weeks with occasionally being able to borrow a bicycle if I could, you know. And it was bliss. I don't know how many times the parachute blew away and somebody would rescue it and bring it back. But, you know, it was life. So that was those early days. Another one, look, a stand-up. I was very good at that, but I didn't manage to invert, so I haven't done that yet. Okay. And there we are. We begin now to look at other people as well. And I mean, skydiving is about other people and is about what I've learned from other people and what they've given me. You see, okay, 54 went down to Swansea. Did a tandem jump because if the students were going to jump, I was going to jump. Terrified, terrified, terrified. Ringing up, I suppose it was Dave Hawerski, and saying, what does it feel like? Is it like jumping off a four-foot wall? Then I'd practice jumping from the stairs, only the 2 stairs down. I mean, nobody could have been more scared than I was. Did a tandem, came down, and I said, sign me up. And of course, they were then scared because... and have remained scared ever since. See how courageous skydivers are. I was 54, and I think Dave Hawerski thought I could do it. The video man thought I couldn't do it. There was a real debate. But anyway, I did do it, and I did the AFF, and that was great. On my last AFF, I came before the pop and bop, whichever one you say, pop and bop. Yeah, thank you. I'm dyslexic, and it comes out in all sorts of ways. And I was very keen to finish the AFF because it was running short of time and money. And I missed the pull-out, okay? And partly because I really wanted to do it. I only had one, I'll tell you, I only had one altimeter on rather than 2. So that was why it's all right, really. So anyway, I came out on 2 parachutes, and I could have been stopped, but they let me do it. And then I got my own parachute. And it was packed by one of the young men, and I went up again, this is months later, and I came out on 2 parachutes again. And it was fine, it was fine. You know, there are 2 methods. One is that you cut away, the other is that if you can, you separate them out and land it safely, which is what I did. But of course, the pattern there was that you did the other one. So I was banned, okay? In red, across my book, banned. Well, I wasn't going to accept that. I mean, I do accept when people tell me I can't do things, I really can't do things, but I didn't accept this because I knew that I was all right and that I'd made it, well, I don't know if I'd made a mistake. We still don't know whether it was a burble or what happened, whether it came out on its own or whether it was the AAD, not sure. Anyway, I was banned. So I thought, well, I can't be banned, so I'd go to Langer. Now, I mean, that's the point. David seems to nurture impossible people and make them good skydivers. I don't know how he does it, but he's done it before. He'll probably do it again. It's just a wonderful drop zone. So I went up, and David said, well, I can't let you jump here. I can't because banned right across in your logbook, and if there's a crash, it couldn't possibly. Now, stupidly, I hadn't torn it out. You know? then I'd have been all right. But I hadn't torn it out. I was too honest. So what did I do? So I prepared a paper which showed that it wasn't my fault, that I had came out in 2 parachutes the first time, and I won't go into all that because it wasn't my fault. There were circumstances. I only had one AAD on, and the one that I wanted on my wrist I didn't have. Anyway, whatever it was, I prepared it. I thought, and you see, you've got to have determination in skydiving, haven't you? You know, you don't give up at the first. I mean, what they say, if you're first you don't succeed, don't skydive. Well, that's true. But I mean, after that, you've still got to keep going and keep going and keep going if you do survive. And luckily, just before the meeting, the BPA meeting, I had a phone call from David to say it was all right, I could skydive. And I gather since from Tony Butler that they did have a meeting, and he had said I shouldn't skydive. But somehow he was persuaded to let me have a go. So it was lovely, because when I won the award, the trophy, which I'm so proud of, for the Old and Bold with the Aero Club, he came along and said I was wrong. Isn't that lovely? So, you know, what is lovely, of course, never give up on anybody either. You know, that's the other thing. So I could tell you quite a few stories, and I don't know which ones to tell you about first. All of them. I fell in love, I don't know how many times, broke my heart, I don't know how many times, fell back in love again, I don't know how many times. Camped illegally on the canyon in America while going around America on the back of a motorbike on all sorts of different very, very small drop zones, where I remember there was one drop zone where they said, oh, we'll get the pilot now. Now, none of us have got altimeters, but that's all right, they broke, isn't it? You know, so... So I suppose that taught me a lot about surviving and coping and managing. And of course, we never wore a helmet. You know, I mean, that wasn't in when you were on the back of the motorbike. Okay, I wonder what stories are the best ones to tell. You see, so I mean, back in Langer then, when Dave took me on, I must say, he didn't just say, "That's all right, come on, go." He forced me to retrain, you know, very thorough. And I do remember Reddy was my great hero. And he is around still, I believe, isn't he? But I haven't seen him for a long time. And he was so encouraging. I mean, he was a sky god. And I remember I couldn't go straight. I couldn't go in a straight line. And I kept turning. And he said, it's all right. You know, I did that too. And it took me ages. And then he gave me the hint that helped me to go straight. But I mean, in that time in Langer, I mean, I landed on the other side of the road. It was me and this lovely, lovely girl, very good looking, whose name I can't remember. Do you remember? No. That comes from having a poor memory. But, you know, landed on the other side of the road, practically on a sign. I got lost in a rape field. I landed so far out. Not only did I get out, but I couldn't get back again. And I'd borrowed somebody else's suit, so it came back covered in yellow. But, you see, what's coming out is what a wonderful group of people we are. I mean, there I was, this eccentric school teacher at 54 who was insisting on staying, although I was on the edges all the time. I just sort of came in and hoped it would be all right. But these people helped and helped and helped all the time. Didn't matter that I was older, didn't matter that I wasn't a sky god and that made some mistakes. And this is what I find about you all, from the old to the young. And of course, I'm older than any of you. But, you know, you are people of integrity, people of boldness, people of kindness. It's what community is about. And I find that in any community I go to, this is the one I always feel happiest in. And I feel I want to tell you that. Because again, because you're the sort of people you are, you don't go around as if you're very important. You know, I mean, you probably know you are. I mean, but you do it quietly, you know. I mean, I remember going to the Herd Boogie. Now, infamous Herd Boogie, I don't know how many of you have gone to it, but it's all known in America. It's one of the ones. It's in Pennsylvania. And when they go there, they take three-piece suites. and kitchen furniture, and enough firewood to make all these fires, which again, eventually, probably the three-piece suite goes into on the last night, you know. And I had a cousin who lived in Pennsylvania, and I remember she drove me up to this field in her Cadillac, and I was there with my skydive and a small tent. And she said, "Are you sure you want me to leave you? You know, you're terribly worried about me." And in I went, and I said, "I've come to the boogie. You know, fine, I've just decided I'm coming." Well, it seems I didn't have enough jumps. You had to have 100 jumps, and I'd already got 99. But again, they were so nice. They said, "Well, we've got a tandem course on at the moment, so you can be one of the bodies." Now, that was the most frightening thing I've ever done. All night, I don't think I slept. That was so fearful, but I did it, and I was there. And what a thing. I mean, the Herd Boogie still goes on. You've got a chance, do go there. Though I don't suppose it does now. So, we're all right for time. Just got to keep an eye on the time. So I remember going to America, to Zephyr Hills, and again, I was told, "You go over there, you'll die." There was a woman. There was a woman of 65. She went over there, and she's a good skydiver, and she had an accident. And so, of course, you know, I suppose the other thing is always good to press your boundaries, push the comfort zone, even if it's not through skydiving, through anything. And I decided to go. And I'll always remember sitting on this stone cement step in the sun, having come down safely, and I wasn't dead. So Zephyr Hills was a wonderful place, the lovely people, and I did a lot of fun skydiving there. And then one of the most memorable things happened to me there. I had a trailer there, and of course the amazing thing is, you know, what a lovely community. I'd have the trailer there, and I'd go home, I'd come back, and I'd tell them I was coming. I'd go in at about 1 o'clock in the morning, bodies everywhere, you know. And they sort of get upset, and I'd say, "It's all right, don't go," but they'd all leave. So in between my staying in the trailer, they would. But on the last day, something amazing happened, and I'll tell you about that in a minute. As usual, political things come into this, and I think they had to close the drop zone. And it was very sad to see everybody moving away and moving away and moving away. But it was a wonderful time as well. And on the last day, the very amazing things happened, what I remember on my deathbed is what I will think about when I'm dying. Now, you see, isn't it lovely? Won't you all have good thoughts when you're dying? You know? No terror in it at all. You know, it'd be great. No, do wait. Do wait. Do wait as long as you can. Right, so apart from this lovely community in Langer, in Zephyr Hills, you know, so many places in Arizona, one thing I'm very proud about, and that was the early Stonehenge days of skydiving, and I managed to get a silver medal for freestyle when I think, was I 65 or 68 or something, I can't remember. But, well, all right, thank you. And the thing is, I mean, it's laughable. I mean, even then it was a bit laughable. I mean, I got a second. There were only 2 of us, I think, when we were... But, and I know you're all the same, or you wouldn't be doing this, I committed myself to it. I mean, imagine, it was a case of going to the swimming pool and trying to do things in the water, because there were no tunnels then. I think there was a temporary one that they used to put up in Zephyr Hills. I went to the gym and got as fit as I could, and I also spent quite a bit of money doing mind mapping, neuro-linguistic patterning, so that, you know, you listen to the little voice of fear and you turn it into a Mickey Mouse, and then you tell Mickey Mouse to get out of the way or something, you know. But it was useful. So I really committed myself to it. I'm so sort of pleased that I did it, even though now, as I say, it would be looked on as probably that was about the biggest thing I did. Well, in the other film, you'll see I did a few more things. But that I'm very proud of. And you see, I've talked about David. Tony Danbury has been a wonderful mentor to me the whole time. encouraged and helped. I mean, actually, as well in Langer, you've got Baz, you've got Dean, you've got John, you've got Stan. I mean, so many helped me. Now, those are people who are roughly my age, except for Tony, he wouldn't like that. We were team 110 and he was 40, so you guess. But also the young people exactly, is so wonderful to me as well. Now, I'll move it on. Now, I've fallen through a circular rainbow. Isn't that wonderful? When I looked at the thing, I could put that shadow of the plane in it. When I did it, the shadow of myself fell through it. And I don't know how many other people have, because I think people have talked about seeing a rainbow around a plane, and I've also actually gone towards a circular rainbow, but I fell through it. And the point is, what is amazing, I think the angels and the spirits are on the side of skydivers, because that was the week that Zephyr Hills closed down. And as all the long-staying residents moved out, now this will be a bit strange, but in my inner eye, I actually saw flaming angels go out with them, with swords. I mean, really, I did. Now, that you can't say is true, but that Saturday, on the last afternoon, when they were pulling down the manifest and the packing sheds and everything, I fell through a circular rainbow. I had done my things, about 5,000 feet I stopped, I looked down, and I saw this rather muted rainbow. It seemed to be like as large as a big table. And I thought, I wonder if I can go through it. But of course, there wasn't much time. And then my shadow went through it, I went through it, and of course it disappeared. And I came down, and I said, I've got to tell you. They said, she's seen an angel, but it wasn't. Now, I mean, what a thing to happen to me, you know? And that's one of many things that are happening in the life that we lead. We've got the good life. Now, you see, they say that we have an instinct for preservation, which of course we have. So we have an instinct for self-interest. But the scientists tell us now that we have another instinct, and that's for service, or for other people, or for doing something useful. So in skydiving, what I have found is that you are all examples of the best life, the life worth living, the really fulfilled life, in that there you are, being bold, having fun, going for it, and at the same time, you are helping others with this, not thinking about it. You're not going to think, I'm going to help somebody today, you know, unless I suppose you're an instructor, and then you probably do. But isn't it wonderful? You know, you have found the secret of good living. You see, okay, I have to mention, there we are. We get Carl Williams in Swansea. Now, I mean, Swansea helped at the very beginning when it wasn't Carl, it was Dave Hawerski. I've gone back, and I must tell you, I went back a few years ago. I was having trouble with my eyes, and one of the jumps I did, I landed on the wrong drop zone and stopped all the traffic in the air. It was like a major incident. Carl was very strict. He called me outside and had a word with me. But he didn't ban me. He didn't ban me. But I banned myself after that. Because what happened, it was low cloud. I did have a cataract problem, and I couldn't really see very well. But it was a low cloud. So by the time I got below the cloud, it was almost like too late to see where everything was geographically. So I knew I could get to the one safely, so I went all the way around the airport and got to the wrong one. As I say, they had to stop all the traffic. But I went then and had a cataract operation. I found out it was a cataract. Actually, I thought I'd have to stop. I stopped. Then I went privately to an optician who told me, fine, he could put that completely right. It was a cataract, and I had it done. And then I crept back to Langer. I think I spoke to Richard, and they said, yes, come on, it was one Christmas. And so I was back again. So, you know, there we are. That's Swansea I've got a very warm spot for. And then that's Langer. And I think that was my 1,000th jump. And that was a few years ago now, David. But again, you know, they were so good. They helped me get this 1,000th jump, and they all came out and jumped with me. And actually also then they helped me get the Guinness Book of Records oldest woman skydiver in the world, which is quite a bit of trouble. It's just wonderful. I can't believe it, you know. It's just crazy, really. But you just keep going. Never give up in life. That's what I think it means, you know. And always keep that enthusiasm one way or the other. And then you'll achieve far more. So, see, the thread of this is these two instincts. Okay. Now, after this, I'm going to tell you a little bit about what I think has kept me going, and see what you think. So being as I'm so old, I think it may not work for you, but I'll tell you what worked for me. Stress is a killer. And I think that's why perhaps everybody could skydive, because it's a very good use of stress. You know, that's the point. It uses up the stress. And I think I've been very lucky in recognizing when I'm stressed and doing something else. Oh, that again, I just had to put that in because I'm so proud of it. Because I think I was the first skydiver. The others have all been pilots. I'm going the wrong way now, am I? You see, again, community, here we all are in the Aero Club Awards. And, you know, different ages, different sexes, all in it together. So, this is what I've lived by. Now, first of all, main thing, positive energy always has a positive result. Sometimes, somewhere, somehow. It comes from a zoological fact. It's about explosions. If an explosion happens underground, it will always have a result. It may not be at the time you expect. It may not be at the place you expect. It may not be in the shape you expect, but it'll always be there. And that's been taken up by psychologists, and again, the same thing applies. So, now that's the wonderful thing. Always, always, always be energetic. It doesn't matter if it doesn't come about. Don't get depressed, or you don't feel, well, I failed, because it will always have a good result. But nature is sometimes wiser than you. It's bigger than, you know, your actual ambition. So that, if you just keep to that, I think you will, when you 5 minutes from dying, say, well, Dilys said something really good all those years ago. Positive energy always has a positive result. Now, I think there are times in life where we all are going through a tough patch. I mean, that we know that, that's true. Now, Goethe said, think of something beautiful. This is paraphrasing it, by the way. He was a poet. Look at something beautiful, listen to something beautiful. And when I was in a very stressed state, divorced, working too hard, the boss I didn't like, and a small child who I was looking after, and no support around. And I felt like a chicken with my head cut off, and I thought, I'm too busy to go to a meditation class or a yoga class or to have a weekend away. And I read this, and I thought, okay, for 5 minutes every day, I'll sit in a chair, just relax, or sometimes it would be in bed before I got up in the morning, and I'll think of something beautiful, look at something beautiful, listen to something beautiful. And it worked. Now, 6 months later, I was skydiving. It hadn't even come to my head before, and life had opened. So that if you're too busy to do a lot of going out for a weekend meditating or do that. If you're in a low patch, that will get you through it. And then the third thing, which is essential, and I think I'm still learning about now, you always find the jewel in the dirt. You must go on, because we're all landed sometimes, aren't we? Up to our eyes and shit, it's terrible, you know, everything's gone wrong. Our bosses, whatever it is, you know, life is bad for us, and it's not fair, and it's not right, and why should it happen to us? You've got to find, it's survival, there's no choice. You've got to find the jewel in that dirt, and that will solve it for you. And if you go around feeling slightly resentful, but coping with it and feeling, well, all right, I'll let it go, but just slightly resentful, you failed. You've got to go on until it's a shining jewel. So that's the third thing I would say. Now, I'm going to show there's a video in a minute, but before I do that, let me give you one more thing. So, my life has been interwoven with yours. I found the good life, and I found the good life because of you. Now, the saying goes, be as kind as you can, as often as you can, to whomever you can, wherever you can. I think it's a Methodist statement. Now, amazingly, it's you it applies to, all of you. That's what I have found with all of you. I think it's amazing and wonderful. And really, you can change the world. You'll change the world. You changed me. What you're doing is tremendously important. And let's keep people coming in. Let's get them in to skydive. It will change them, you know, if they're not there already. So, let me just show you a little bit of video just to finish. Because of time, I couldn't put the bits in that I want, which showed me at my skydiving best. So you'll just have to believe that there are bits in there where I'm amazing. There is an edge to it. It's the ultimate freedom.
Dilys is definitely a free spirit.
I can't describe to you the thrill of standing at the door, launching yourself into the blue.
She sure isn't the grandma type. Spring got wings. What goes up must come down. Oh, you do? Okay. I don't want to turn it off. Yeah. I do. Okay, see this right here? There's a hole right there you can put your foot in. Okay, and I'll be hanging like this. No, put your feet up here. That's just to get up there. I'll be hanging like this. You come outside the bar. Right. Stand straight up. There you go. Oh, see, that bar's in the way. All right?
Ready, set, go. All right. Mike McGowan, that's his name.
I suppose one would think that when you jump from something at 5,000, 6,000, 7,000 feet, it doesn't make much difference whether it's an airplane, a jet, or a balloon. But in a balloon, it does. One thing about an airplane, you have a tremendous wind noise, which is exhilarating, but I wouldn't call it peaceful. When we get in that balloon, once he quits firing up the fire to get us to altitude, it becomes very, very, very quiet. We could whisper, and we would have a very good conversation. And when we leave the balloon, it's calm, dead calm, if you will. And then as you begin to accelerate, you start to accelerate, and the excitement starts to accelerate with it too. So I think we're going to have an awful lot of fun on this balloon jump.
All you're thinking and you're breathing down. Get up there, there's no hurry. It's not like turning points. Relax, and don't make it. Okay? Give a nice count, but if you do a good calm count, if you think a good exciting count is going to carry through, you think you're ready, set, go. You know, and if you don't get hurt, you can't have done anything wrong. Okay?
Ready, set, go. there's just a little bit
We
more.
have fun, and you did such a good job. Your exit was perfect. Oh, yes. When you see it, you're going to be so happy.
It's because I got you.
It was our energy.
Wow.
This girl is happy. I think so.
I was nervous. Oh, I was nervous about getting there and then leaning forward. Oh. What an experience.
Yeah.
The ultimate connection.
With what? Now.
So, keep it up. You're the holders of the good life. You actually are the temples of what is worthwhile. And, you know, have a great future and keep bringing more people into it, because I think you are changing the world. If you've changed me, you're changing others as well. So thank you very much for your story, which is about me, but really is about what you have done. So thank you.